Hello my beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm really glad you found your way to this space. This channel is where we tell the stories people whisper about, the ones hidden behind closed doors and forced smiles. Before I begin, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on your notifications, because this is not just a story you listen to, it's one you feel, and it stays with you long after the video ends. There are some truths you don't rush into. Some truths demand silence first, patience, and courage. For a long time, I didn't know how to begin this story because every beginning felt like an ending. Even now, as I speak, my chest feels tight, not because I don't want to tell it, but because once I do, there's no going back to who I was before. People think tragedy arrives loudly. They imagine screaming arguments, dramatic signs, obvious warnings. But sometimes tragedy arrives quietly, disguised as normal days, polite conversations, and forced smiles. Sometimes it looks exactly like a life that seems fine. When I married my husband, I thought I knew him. I thought love meant access to every part of someone's soul. He was calm, dependable, admired by everyone around him. His family spoke of him with pride, almost reverence. He was their pillar, their solution, their reassurance. And I was proud to be his wife. I felt chosen. I felt safe. But there was something I didn't notice at first. Or maybe I noticed and convinced myself it didn't matter. He never talked about how he felt, not deeply. When things got heavy, he grew quiet. When pressure mounted, he smiled more. And when life demanded too much of him, he said nothing at all. At the beginning of our marriage, I believed silence meant peace. I believed his calm meant strength. I didn't understand that sometimes silence is not peace. It's a warning whispered so softly that love mistakes it for stability. As time passed, his world began to feel smaller, even though his responsibilities kept growing. His phone never stopped ringing. His family needed him constantly. Advice, money, emotional support, decisions, everything ran through him. And whenever I gently asked if it was too much, he brushed it off. He said he could handle it. He always said he could handle it. That's when the tension began. Not between us, but around us. His family started watching me differently, listening carefully to my words, measuring my tone. It was subtle at first, almost unnoticeable. But then came the comments. Jokes that weren't jokes. Statements disguised as concern. They said he wasn't the same anymore. They said marriage had changed him. They said he used to be more available before me. I didn't realize it then, but that was the beginning of the story they would later tell about me. I tried to ignore it. I told myself grief makes people say strange things. Stress makes people defensive. I focused on my marriage, on loving him, on being supportive in ways that didn't make him feel weak. I thought that was what he needed, someone who believed in him without demanding explanations. What I didn't know was that he was unraveling in places I couldn't reach. The day everything changed did not announce itself. It didn't feel different from any other day. There was no argument, no warning, no moment where I thought, this is it. That's the part that still haunts me. How ordinary the hours were before my life split in two. When the call came, my body reacted before my mind did. My hands shook. My ears rang. The words felt unreal, like they belonged to someone else's nightmare. I remember asking them to repeat it. Not because I didn't hear, but because I couldn't accept that reality could be so cruel without any build-up. My husband was gone. In that moment, grief did not crash over me like a wave. It froze me. It locked me in place while the world kept moving. People expect tears, screams, collapse. What I felt was emptiness, a hollow so deep it felt endless. But the worst part did not come that day. The worst part came after. Before I could even understand what had happened, before I could begin to mourn the man I loved, the questions started. Not gentle questions, not concerned ones. Sharp questions. Accusations disguised as curiosity. What happened between you two? Were you fighting? Did he seem stressed at home? And slowly, almost methodically, the blame shifted toward me. They said he was fine before marriage. They said he changed after meeting me. They said if I hadn't pressured him, if I hadn't spoken so much, if I had been more patient, he would still be alive. Grief has a way of making lies sound like truth. When you're already broken, accusations don't bounce off, they sink in. I began replaying every moment of our marriage in my mind, searching for the point where I supposedly destroyed him. I asked myself questions no grieving person should ever have to ask. Did my love suffocate him? Did my expectations push him too far? Did I fail to see what everyone else claims was obvious? What hurt the most was not just the blame, but the certainty with which they delivered it. They spoke as if they had answers. As if his pain was simple. As if it could be traced neatly back to me and nowhere else. No one asked about the pressure they placed on him. No one mentioned the years he spent carrying everyone else's burdens. No one acknowledged the silence they rewarded, the strength they demanded, the weakness they never allowed. I became the villain in a story they needed to survive their own guilt. Being blamed while grieving is a special kind of loneliness. It isolates you even from your own pain. I felt like I had to justify my sadness, explain my tears, defend my memories. I stopped talking. I stopped sharing. I carried my grief quietly because expressing it felt like an admission of guilt. There were nights I lay awake wondering if I deserved to mourn him at all. But slowly, painfully, truth began to surface, not loudly, not dramatically, but through reflection. Through therapy. Through long nights alone with my thoughts. I began to understand something no one had wanted to face. My husband did not die because of one person. He did not die because of one marriage. He died because he lived in a world where strength was rewarded and vulnerability was punished. He died carrying pain he never learned how to release. And blaming me was easier than admitting that. If you're watching this and feeling your chest tighten, maybe it's because you recognize this story. Maybe you've been blamed for something you didn't cause. Maybe you loved someone deeply and still lost them. Maybe you're carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you. Please hear this clearly. You are not responsible for pain someone never shared. You are not responsible for a choice born from silence. And you are not required to accept blame just because others cannot face the truth. I am still healing. I am still learning how to live with unanswered questions. Some days are heavier than others. Some memories still hurt. But I no longer carry guilt that was never mine to begin with. I shared this story because silence keeps killing people long after funerals end. And because blame destroys the living while pretending to honor the dead. If this story touched you, please subscribe to this channel. This is a space for truth, even when truth is uncomfortable. Like this video so it reaches someone who needs it. And if you feel safe, share your thoughts in the comments. You are not alone here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying until the end. And thank you for holding space for a story that still hurts to tell.